The Fed15 podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a financial planning practice serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of either Raymond James or Serving Those Who Serve. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc.
Fed15 podcast, presented by Serving Those Who Serve. Each week, we'll discuss the latest news and info the feds need to know in 15 minutes-ish or less. So whether you are a seasoned federal employee or just getting started out in your career, we've got you covered. So grab your coffee, your energy drink, your green juice, whatever gets you going, and kick back, and we'll tell you what you need to know, but may have missed. We are your hosts. I'm Dan Sipe, and I am joined by the incandescent Chelsea English. Chelsea, how are you?
Hey, Dan. I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. So, to quote Sir Elton John, they say Spain is pretty, though I've never been, but I know somebody who has, and that's you, because when you were last on, you were talking about the trip coming up. So how was it?
That's right. It was amazing. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I don't remember if I mentioned last time, but I stayed with the host family when I was in college in Spain. So got to visit with them for a few days, and it's been quite some time since I've last seen them. So that was a great reunion, really special. And then that's on the west coast of Spain, right above Portugal. Really beautiful over there. And then we got to spend some time in Madrid, which was great. I'd never been there before, and they have some incredible museums and historical sites. So it was a great trip. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, your host family must have been super proud you coming back all grown up with a career and people listening to you and everything.
I know. It was great. And, they've got kids who were young kids when I was there, 8 and 10 at the time. And now they're 18 and 16 and graduated from high school. So as they say, time flies, and it really does. But it was great to see them.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And did a little bird tell me that you also took in a minor concert over there? Who was it? Somebody, I forget the name. I don't think she's that famous. Who was it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've heard of her, but that's Taylor Swift. Yep, I know. That's right.
Even the geezer knows about Taylor. Okay, so that's how famous she is across the board. So how was that?
It was incredible. I mean, I know there's a lot of hype out there for this tour, and let me say that I think the hype is real. I mean, it was, I didn't know what to expect going in. I heard incredible things. I knew it was going to be great, but I think she exceeded expectations. So it was truly quite a performance. I mean, I don't think you can even group it in with a regular concert experience. You've got to kind of separate it because no other concert, I think, will compare. It's more like a Broadway production. It's just over the top. Yeah. But It was a great time.
That's exciting. And I love your enthusiasm for it because, 1,000 years ago, I went to concerts. And, there was this relatively unknown kid from Jersey named Bruce. And believe me,
I think I've heard of her.
Yeah. And believe me, we went every chance we could because, again, he kind of transcended other shows. And it sounds like Taylor's kind of redefining the standard. So, we had folks, okay, we could talk about this all day long. And so for the folks who are really mad at me about talking about sports so much, I didn't mention sports ball once. So I need to get some points for that. But we actually have some important stuff to talk about for our feds. And Chelsea, you've got some really interesting information regarding Roth conversion strategies as well as qualified charitable distributions, right? So what you got for us?
That's right. So I'm going to talk about how do we combine these strategies for seniors. So let's start with the basics. What is a QCD? It's a qualified charitable distribution that allows individuals who are 70 and a half or older to donate up to $100,000 a year from an IRA directly to qualified charities. Now, this distribution can cover part or all of your RMD for the year. And the amount of the QCD is not included in AGI, adjusted gross income. So next, let's look at what is a Roth conversion. It's transferring pre-tax funds from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. The converted amount is added to taxable income for the year and is taxed at current income tax rates. Now, this allows for tax-free growth in the Roth IRA and tax-free withdrawals in retirement. So this is a really great strategy for tax diversification and long-term tax savings. Now, let's look at the benefits of pairing these strategies.
Okay.
By using QCDs to satisfy all or a portion of RMDs, seniors can lower their taxable income. This can help them stay in a lower tax bracket, which 1, minimizes Medicare premium increases, and 2, allows a buffer for that taxable income associated with a Roth conversion.
Ooh,
now,
nice.
Right? Sounds good so far. Simultaneously, seniors can strategically convert pre-tax assets to Roth accounts over time. Now, converting assets during the lower income years helps minimize the tax impact and maximizes the long-term benefits of tax-free withdrawals in retirement. So, really great. And then I just want to add a little note that women in particular may benefit from combining QCDs and Roth conversions due to longer life expectancies and therefore a higher risk of outliving retirement savings. So combining QCDs and RMDs can be a powerful tool, but keep in mind that this is an advanced planning strategy. So please be sure to talk with your financial professional before diving in. Dan, let's hear what you have to tell us about some important news regarding pay, parity, and protections for feds.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. There's actually always a fair amount of things going on out there relevant to feds, maybe not to every fed, that sort of thing. So a couple of things do fly under the radar here and there. So one of the things I always like to do is do a little digging and see some things that we might not have covered, but we really want to make sure that we get out there. So over the last 60 days, it was actually pretty significant for our feds, some of the things that I found. And the first one is, in my opinion, super profound. So the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, did their periodic report on federal employee compensation. So they drew on data from 2022. And see, here's the thing, Chelsea. I always get in trouble with parties because now somebody's going to pop off and say, overpaid government employees. And I'm just the wrong guy to have in the room. My wife always cringes when she hears that because she knows what's coming next, because it's like, oh, really? So, for example, the head of an agency, depending on the agency, could be in charge of something as big as Fortune 500 company. Do you think that secretary makes the same as a CEO? I'm not so sure about that. Well, CBO's backing me up here. I always knew it was there, and it's just kind of neat to read it. So they did pay comparison between public sector and private sector, specifically federal, civilian feds, and private sector employees. And Chelsea, do you know what they found?
What'd they find?
They found that employees with a bachelor's degree or higher made less than their private sector counterparts. And it was even more pronounced for individuals with advanced degrees. Okay. And even more interesting, when they went back 5 years and compared it to the data from 2017, okay, that the gap was still there. And one of the biggest reasons is that feds got lower pay raises than their private sector counterparts, especially this group, bachelor's degree and above. So our best and our brightest we're not overpaying. We're actually underpaying. Now, to be fair, when you factor in workplace benefits like pensions and things like that, across the board, feds gain a lot of ground. However, the advantages are, again, smaller for the folks with higher education. Because, as we all know, a lot of private sector places have some pretty creative stuff for their top people.
They sure do.
Banish it. Okay. Federal employees are not overpaid. You heard it here. So.
That's right.
Pressing on. House Appropriations bill for 2025 relative to the pay raise for next year, it's silent. And what that usually means is they will go with the president's recommended pay raise, which in this case is 2%. Unlikely that's going to be increased. And also that is unlikely to help close that pay gap with private sector folks that we already talked about. So that's another thing. Over at the Veterans Administration, some really positive things taking place relative to pay and retention. The VA really lost a lot of great nurses during the COVID pandemic because of travel nurse recruiting. So they put in some special pay programs to boost retention and lower quit rates, which are at a historic low. So that's great news.
Wow.
Also initiated the critical skills incentive, which targets key skills that they need. And they have special salary rates for IT and cybersecurity. Couple of bumps. Turns out that maybe some folks got awards that shouldn't have. The agency sniffed that on their own, referred it over to their own IG for investigation. So kudos to them there. And over at TSA, which, folks, is a super important agency.
Absolutely.
I know we always kind of grumble a little bit when we have to go through airport security, but they're keeping us safe. Well, attrition has really dropped at TSA due to the fact they brought the employee salaries in line with the GS schedule. So that's awesome. And fun fact here, Chelsea, did you know that this summer, our dedicated TSA folks will screen over 23,000 domestic flights a day?
A day.
Wow. Yes. And 2,600 international flights.
Oh my gosh. It truly is
ton.
so important. Yeah. Kudos to them. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so rounding this out, okay, for our little grab bag here. So you mentioned parity pay and protection. Here's the protection part. So OPM finalized protections for the civilian workforce against possible enactment of something called Schedule F. And read the article. I'm not going to go deep here, but Schedule F essentially would have converted up to 50,000 career feds to an appointed or at-will status. That's not what the idea is, folks. There's supposed to be a mix, and there are some appointed positions, and then there is a core federal workforce that is designed for continuity and stability. Okay. Well, previous administrations took a look and tried to come up with something that would make more people appointed or at will. So the rule establishes protections against somebody being involuntarily changed and also includes an appeals process. And wouldn't you know it, our friend of the feds, Congressman Jerry Connolly, also in the mix with his Saving Civil Service Act, which would require congressional approval for any expansion of accepted federal service, which is the appointees. So really important thing and really glad that's being worked on. It's good for our feds. So yeah, that's what I got.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing all of that, Dan. That is all the time we have for today, folks, but we'll be back next week to bring you all the latest updates you need to make informed decisions about your career and financial well-being as a Fed.
Absolutely. And be sure to hit that subscribe button for this podcast on either YouTube or Spotify so you never miss an episode. And please share it with friends and colleagues. Our listener and viewership is going up, and we thank you for that.
For more information on the topics covered in today's show and more, be sure to check out our blog at blog.stwserve.com. Subscribe to our newsletter, The Weekly Serving, to get all the latest news for feds delivered straight to your inbox every week.
Absolutely. And don't miss our webinars pretty much each and every week. We have a couple of really good ones coming up. On July 9th, we will have our Understanding FERS webinar. That'll go from 11 until 2. And then July 11th, we have tax planning for federal employees. I know it's not tax season. Okay. It doesn't hurt to get a head start. And our boy Ed Zerndorfer is a gem where that's concerned. So that's July 11th, 1 till 4. Don't miss it.
Thanks for listening to the Fed15. I'm Chelsea English.
And I'm Dan Sipe.
And we'll see you next week.